my name is Gabrielle and welcome to my video for today. So I will be talking about the New York Times best-selling book Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, I just heard about this book this year and decided to grab it, though when was it published? Verity was originally published in 2018 and it's been popular, but I will say that I had sort of a sabbatical from reading for quite a few years now, and just within the past, say, 2 months, I've reinvigorated my true innate love for reading, and I heard good things about this book. And I had only ever read thrillers in my college classes, specifically women's studies, where I read both Gone Girl and Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, which I didn't realize were thrillers at the time. But I thought, hey, this book Verity sounds interesting, let me grab it. So I grabbed my e-reader that I have, and I got the book for free, thankfully I might add, through Kindle Unlimited. And here's my thoughts. So this isn't gonna be too long of a video, but wow. Okay, so I don't know if maybe it was just because I hadn't really read like a solid book in a while, but this book was so interesting. And if you've read it or you know what it's about, you'll know what I mean. So I read it about over a month ago, and I've read like 5 books since then. So it's not as fresh on my mind, but I wanted to talk about it that way. I didn't want to talk about it and give you like a super detailed, description of every little detail that happens. But long story short, Lowen is the main character. It's told from her perspective. There's gonna be some spoiler alert. Click off now if you don't want to know any spoilers, but if you do, here it is. Okay. Lowen is the main character. The book is told from her perspective, Lowen. She is an author struggling to make her finances work in New York City. She gets called in by her publicist for a meeting with a man whose wife is a best-selling novelist who wrote this whole series. Something happened to his wife's health condition where they need a ghostwriter to co-write the remaining books in his wife's series so that she can publish the full series. Lowen does not want the job because it's a very, like I said, best-selling series, and she likes to keep it low-key. She doesn't want to go on tours, she doesn't want recognition, she doesn't want her name on that book. I think I misspoke. They wanted it written with her name, but she decides to ghostwrite it. So they agree on a deal. She's gonna ghostwrite them. She's not gonna have to do any of the tours, so she agrees to do it. Now, the husband who is in this meeting says for her to come to their house, look in the office of his wife, take whatever information she needs, and she can go back to New York and write the rest of the series. So here's where things get a little bit dicey. Okay, so she goes to their house. I forget where it was, doesn't matter. She goes to their house in the woods. The son's acting creepy right away. The husband and the wife, the injured wife, author wife, who is named Verity, so that's who it's about, have one son who's 3, I think. His name is Crew. He's a creep. Anyways, but basically, as Lowen is looking through Verity's office, she finds this printed out manuscript of Verity's autobiography. And it's an autobiography where Verity is obviously telling you about her life, but the details within this book they blatantly state Verity is talking about all the manipulative and terrible things that she's done in her relationships, basically. Jeremy, the husband, and Verity, she tells about their story of meeting and how she seduced him, how she was obsessed with him when they first started dating, and then she got pregnant, and they had already wanted to be together, so that wasn't like a big issue, but the problem for her was that she didn't want the child to take Jeremy's attention away from her. So throughout this autobiography, as Lowen is reading it, she's discovering that Verity hates this baby that's inside her. She tries to get rid of it, which I'm not going to talk about what that means, but you know what that means, with a hanger nonetheless. And she's like further obsessed with Jeremy, and then her attempts at not having the baby are unsuccessful, and turns out it's twin girls. So 2 girls who will take away her husband's love for her, blah blah blah. So once the babies are born, she talks about in the autobiography about how she doesn't feed them during the day when he's away at work, and she hates them, how they're crying so much and they're so annoying. She just wants to sleep all day, and she hates them coming into her life. She tries to kill one of them one day. Long story short, they grow older, and she had a dream when the babies were young that one of the twins would try to kill the other twin. And so further in the autobiography, she's talking about how she one of the twins, the one that she liked, that she didn't have the dream about, has a peanut allergy. And this actually happened outside of the autobiography, that the twins were at a sleepover. When they woke up in the morning, the twin that Verity liked had eaten something with peanuts in the night, and she died. So this isn't what Lowen is reading in the book. She knows this from conversations with Jeremy as she's there over the few days looking through the office. And then in the autobiography, long story short, once again, Verity is talking about how she knew that the other twin would do it, and so she had to get rid of the twin that was still living because she knew that like she was the murderer. So she takes her kids off into a boat, both crew, the younger boy and the remaining twin, and then she flips the boat over, grabs crew, swims to shore, and leaves the other twin to drown. This is what Lowen, again, is reading in the autobiography. Throughout the days that they're there, Lowen and Jeremy are having these connections, and they're talking in like intimate situations. She's like looking at him and like, oh, I like him so much. Does he know that this autobiography is here of his wife like spilling her guts about all these horrible things that she's done or wanted to do? It's too much, girl, calm down. What happens next? Jeremy and Lowen keep getting intimate. They're having little situations. They're kissing. One time they're kissing, Jeremy's on top of Lowen. She looks up and sees on the stairwell, there's Verity standing at the top staring at them kissing. So she's like, oh, Jeremy, Verity. And so Verity scurries away, and he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I just saw Verity at the top of the stairs. They run to Verity's room, and she's like laying in bed. He's like, girl, you crazy, blah, blah, blah. A lot of other weird situations happen where Lowen is thinking like, am I crazy? So as a reader, you're thinking, is Lowen imagining things, or is Verity a crazy woman, or both? Jeremy and Lowen get even more intimate, which like, you're married, ugh. And Lowen, like, you're in a man's house with his wife. Like, even if you're reading this stuff and you think she's a horrible person, ooh, character, what does that say about your character? Or enough clues where Lowen's like, you know what, Jeremy, she's alive, whatever. She's like awake, mentally alert. So she shows Jeremy this autobiography. She's like, I'm sorry, I kept it from you. You need to read this. And he's like, oh my gosh. And then he runs over to, he reads it quickly, and then he runs over to Verity's room. And he's like, Verity, wake up, I know it. She's like laying there. I imagine she's like this. He runs into the room. He's like, Verity, wake up. Well, how could you do this? Blah, blah, blah. After reading of all this, like, she murdered her child to kill them. Ugh. And so he's like, you open your eyes or I'm calling the police. So then she's like, no, Jeremy, please. And then fast forward, he kills her. And then Lowen and him are like, we can stage it so that it looks like she, I forgot the word, but like she vomited and choked on the vomit and died in her sleep because she can't move. It's like basically it, which is what happens. So in the morning they're calling the police and oh no, she died. It flashes forward. Lowen is pregnant from that like one night escapade that her and Jeremy had. The poor son is now having to adjust to his new mother, apparently, stepmother. Jeremy is free at last, and they're going back to that house where they were to move out their stuff because they're gonna move to another state and not be in that same house where Verity was, and Verity died. And Lowen comes across this letter written from Verity to Jeremy, basically saying, Jeremy, I had to pretend to do that to take Crew, the son, away so we could live. I was writing that autobiography as a way to deal with the grief of my both daughters dying, because in real life both daughters had died. One did have the peanut allergy and one did drown, but she was saying that I did not like tip the boat over on purpose and not save our daughter, and I never had those dreams. I never tried to kill them. I was writing that autobiography from a villain's perspective to try to help my pain healing and dealing with my children's death. And she's writing this in the letter as Lowen's reading it. I could take Crew and we could live our life, and maybe one day in the future I'll reach out to you and you'll forgive me. So Lowen is reading this and she's like, oh my gosh, wait. So is Verity, was she really faking it? Or was this like a letter that she wrote to try to fool Jeremy once again to forgiving her? Because from Lowen's perspective, Verity's like some crazed, obsessed woman who wants her husband back. So Jeremy comes into the room where Lowen is. He's like, oh, what's that? Or like, he comes in the room and she's like in the bathroom or something reading the letter. So she closes the door and then she starts eating the letter and flushing it down the toilet because she doesn't want him ever to read it. And then that is the end of Verity. Okay, so how weird. So basically you're left with the thought of like, is Lowen the crazy one? Is Verity the crazy one? Or am I the crazy one? Probably yes to all the above. A lot of people on here, on YouTube, that I've seen side with Lowen and Jeremy, and they think that Verity is crazy because like you have to be kind of crazy to write that autobiography. But I am on Verity's side. I do not think that Verity was crazy. I think that she is an exceptional author. I mean, she's a bestseller. We gotta be fair here. She's a best-selling author. I think it was talking about how her book series was about like from a villain perspective, and they were like kind of dark. So I'm like, she's already had expertise in like writing this way. So I could see somebody writing like crazy stuff to deal, like, yes, it was over the top, but like, I don't know. I just think that Verity was not crazy. I don't like Lowen. And I feel bad for Jeremy because he went through all that with his daughter's death and then his wife getting in this accident, which it was revealed that he was the one who caused the accident for her to get injured into this state anyway, because he had found the online manuscript of the autobiography. He read it and he was like, what is this? And then he put her in a car and like drove her into a tree. When Lowen had showed him it, it was like, I guess he saw it for a second time. So he didn't necessarily say to Lowen like, oh, I've never seen this before. But then she was wondering like, wait, so was he lying to me? Is he the crazy one? But she kind of just like ignores that because like she's pregnant, so she needs someone. But yeah, it was just interesting, but like, whoa, it was definitely a thrill. I enjoyed reading it. I would read it again. I've read a few of Colleen Hoover's other books throughout this month after reading Verity. That was my first ever Colleen Hoover book, by the way. And yeah, it was just riveting. So I really liked it. I don't love scenes that are intimate scenes. That's why romance books are like not really my favorite, because I didn't love those scenes. It's just not my thing. But separate from that, the actual plot was riveting, and I would suggest that you read it if you're an adult. So check it out. There it is. Hope you enjoyed my review of Verity. Feel free to let me know if you have read the book or if you would like to read the book, and we can talk more in the comments about your thoughts. Let me know if you're a Verity hater or if you think she's innocent like I do, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.